Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Christina McNeil, and this is MB12 for Wednesday, March 14th, 2012, broadcasting from the Cable 12 studios on Robinson Road. In news tonight, straw vendors nearly come to blows in the market before dozens of tourists this afternoon. We'll tell you why. A young man gunned down outside his Pinewood Gardens home. His family speaks. The Prime Minister calls out a PLP senator, and the launch of a program to help students' math skills. We have those stories and much more coming up tonight. Your NB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. A PLP press conference to point out issues with the new downtown straw market took a turn for the worse today, as straw vendors who support the PLP and F&M nearly came to blows. Charisma Robinson was there when the action unfolded. She filed this report.
It was a showdown between F&M and PLP supporters at the straw market today as PLP leaders toured the facility in hopes of addressing a number of challenges.
At his party St. Anne's constituency office opening last night, Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham told party supporters that the majority of straw vendors are Progressive Liberal Party supporters, and he has no problem with that, as the market was built for Bahamians. But while that may very well be the case, President of the Straw Market Advancement Association, Celestine Aeneas, certainly held down the fort for the F&M today, as PLP leaders sought to address some challenges that have been brought to their attention. According to Vice President of the Straw Business Person Society, Laverne Crawley, at least 30 people on her list are still waiting to be assigned a stall. Not only that, she says the new building is having some serious structural problems, particularly with the restrooms. But Aeneas was not having it. She blasted the PLP and condemned straw vendors for being ungrateful.
The rain wet us and the sun dry us. We are not getting wet anymore in the rain. And it's been a long time coming. We were under the tent for at least about 15 years, if I could remember correctly. The PLP was in power for 5 years. They built they draw a plant which went to naught. They did nothing within 5 years. And it's a crying shame that they just come now to see about the people. Where were they all the while? On behalf of the straw vendors that are grateful, the Prime Minister, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, which we call Papa, send a man in here to be stationed in here so that our concerns can be heard and be rectified right away.
But the president's comments didn't sit well with a number of straw vendors. Near pandemonium broke out in the busy tourist-centric facility between F&M and PLP supporters.
Why the situation had to turn out like this. But the Prime Minister himself said last night that the majority of the straw vendors are PLPs. He has no problem with that. He said he built a straw market for Bahamians. And he is aware of the fact that there are more PLPs in the market than F&M. That's right. And I want the public to know that the PLPs in the straw market are very grateful to the government of the Bahamas. The PLPs in the straw market are very grateful to the government of the Bahamas. We were dealing with concerns and issues, not politics. Thank you.
PLP Deputy Leader Brave Davis was surprised by the turn of events.
We are here concerned about the straw vendors. Yes, we are PLPs, and yes, there are PLPs in here. And if anyone's concerned about our presence, they ought just to bring their own people here, that's all.
The 34,000 square foot market has space for 500 stalls for vendors, including 31 specialty stalls and 14 spaces for wood carvers. As has been repeatedly pointed out by the Ingram administration, the Progressive Liberal Party failed to build a new market for vendors during its term in office after the old market burned to the ground in 2001. Fox Hill Member of Parliament Fred Mitchell says if the PLP is elected as the next government, the party will seek to address the challenges with the new market. Reporting for NB12, I'm Charisma Robinson.
Well, a young father of 3 is the country's 25th murder victim for the year. Relatives of 29-year-old Stefano Murphy watched in horror as a gunman shot him multiple times in front of his home. Tonight, his family is calling for justice. Vonique Toot reports.
Just last night, Stefano Chiquito Murphy was hanging outside his Pinewood Gardens home with his siblings. This morning, his heartbroken relatives found themselves at Princess Margaret Hospital's morgue identifying his body. They say he was gunned down while his 3 young children were inside.
It's not a good feeling because he was actually killed in the presence of his other sibling, my sister and his brother-in-law, actually at the doorstep where he lives. So it's not a good memory at all for when you actually have to open that door in the mornings and come out in the evenings knowing that he sits on that porch.
Police say a gunman opened fire on the 29-year-old handyman at around 8:40 last night as he was standing outside his home on St. John's Avenue off Buttonwood Avenue, Pinewood Gardens. Officers met his bullet-riddled body on the ground, surrounded by screaming family members. Murphy's eldest sister, Natasha Todd, says she never quite understood the pain and suffering other victims' families endured until her only brother was murdered. She says his killer didn't just take a life, they robbed 3 children of their father.
That's a heavy burden. 3 small kids, they're not adults, they're children. They're fatherless. For someone to actually have done this where the kids are present and knowing that, hey, my dad is no longer going to be here. That's very horrible. It's sad. He's a very loving person. Everybody have their problems in life, but he learned to live one day at a time and get along with people, trash things out, however it may be.
Todd says the fact that her brother was killed at home speaks volumes of his character. She told NB12 he rarely went out at night because his sons and daughter were his top priority. Head of the Central Division, Stephen Dean, says their investigations are in the preliminary stages. He says at this point police have no motive, but they are determined to find out who shot Stefano Murphy and why.
We continue to put that clarion call, the plea out to persons who continue hell-bent on breaking the law. The police will be out there to get you. The police will be investigating this matter. I can tell you that our detective and the officers from the Southeastern Division are on the ground actively, and they will not stop until we bring the perpetrator or perpetrators to justice tonight.
You have families out there grieving. Sometimes you get closure. Sometimes you even don't. Even though you get persons, they are caught, they go to jail, they come out, they're on bail, they live in a healthy life, and you still can't fill that void or that gap that's in your heart, knowing that you can't replace that brother or that sister.
As his family makes funeral arrangements, they say they can't help but wonder if he would have been alive today if officials had ever bothered to fix a broken streetlight they've complained about for years. They say maybe then he would have seen his killer coming. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Toot.
Well, the Free National Movement opened its St. Anne's constituency office last night, and in the process, Prime Minister Hubert Ingram made a surprising claim about an opposition senator and outlined economic and social initiatives the party intends to launch. Jasmine Bonamy has all the details in this next report.
During that launch night, Prime Minister Hubert Ingram put forth the candidate for St. Anne's, but he also outlined the FNM's plans if they win the next general election.
Ingram started off the night singing the praises of FNM St. Anne's candidate Hubert Chipman, but moments into his 30-minute speech, that tone changed. The Prime Minister claimed that PLP Senator Allison Maynard Gibson once told him that she is pleased he is governing the country during tough economic times. Ingram claimed the exchange of words occurred when he went to visit Maynard Gibson's father, the late Sir Clement Maynard, before his death.
If we didn't have the decisive leadership we got, and the will, the determination, the courage to do these things, the Great Recession would have been worse for the Bahamas. Anybody who believes that Perry Christie and the PLP would have done better in these times is living in a dream, in a world of unreality. And as we've been told before, if you believe that, you've been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and lied to. But when I visited an ailing Sir Clement Maynard, I vividly recall his daughter Alison Maynard Gibson saying to me, and I quote, "Prime Minister, I'm glad you are in charge in these tough times." But of course, you know, that was in the days when she used to call me to complain about Obi Winscombe and Pleasant Bridgewater and that star.
But Maynard Gibson told our news team that while the Prime Minister did visit her father, she never said what the Prime Minister claimed she said. Sir Clement, a former Deputy Prime Minister, died in 2009. That same year, Maynard Gibson testified in court that she informed Ingram, then Attorney General Sir Michael Barnett, and then Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police Marvin Dames of an alleged extortion plot by former Senator Pleasant Bridgewater and ambulance driver Torino Lightburn against American actor John Travolta. And speaking about his leadership during the global economic downturn, Ingram insisted his style of decisive leadership was right for the time. The nation's leader says if re-elected, the FNM will launch an initiative aimed at boosting economic growth.
Next term is recovery and growth agenda. That agenda is one of job and wealth creation. It's a strategy that will make more Bahamian shareholders as a part of a broader shareholding society. Our economic program will also be geared to boosting medium and small scale businesses.
Ingram also touched on crime-fighting initiatives, saying plans are underway to beef up the defense and police forces with more manpower and resources.
We've improved and increased equipment available to the Defence Force, increasing their fleet by 10 Seacraft, adding 2 new aircraft to the air wing, and engaging just over 200 new Marine seamen. The number of constables, I say, Minister of National Security, by 400. The number of constables by 400 to walk the beat in Africa. Not the number of billeted people, the number of constables to walk the streets to prevent crime.
Now, Ingram also announced plans to focus more on young people with the launch of the Summer Institute, should the FNM get another term in office. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.